Shalom. First off, I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Ruach HaKodesh, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone GMS Ruel. Peace and salutations unto the Lord's chosen elect, which begins with the 144,000, and to all Akim, pushing this truth to the four corners, to the four winds of the earth for the edification of the elect. I pray that this lesson is edifying. This is a brother Halal from the Great Millstone branch of Chicago coming at you with another lesson. And Jake is sick and tired of, being fucked over by Esau Edom. Beginning with these elites, these elite bankers on down. Jake is wondering, how this clearly, inferior, demonic, wicked, child, pedophile, demons have taken control over the earth, man. And Jake is wondering, when is this going to end? And eventually, pursuant to the scriptures and pursuant to prophecy, Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai is going to rouse up that warrior-like spirit in Jake, to stand up against Esau and these heathens, man, and be a terror onto them in these last days. So I'm going to let this video play. It's a video I found while I was on TikTok. Thought it was pretty funny. But, through the satirical, nature of this video on certain points, what Jake is saying is true. But we have to trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai. You know what I'm saying? We cannot come up against Esau on a carnal level. We have not been granted permission from the Lord to do so. We have to wait on Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai to stop this devil. But without further ado, I'm going to let this video play. And may this lesson be edifying as always.
Bro, we as Americans are a bunch of bitches, dog. You telling me we're allowing a bunch of old, senile, fragile-ass senior citizen white men control and dictate our lives? Like, what the fuck are we doing, bro? These niggas are putting us on a street block, making us sell ass all day, all night, and the money that we make, they take all that shit and leave us with $7.25 and say, here, you bitch-ass nigga, make away with that shit. What are we doing? These niggas can't fight. You telling me if I put you in a room with Mitch McConnell and I tell you to fight to the death, that nigga's gonna win? Man, fuck no. You breathe on that nigga the wrong way, he gonna die. The nigga can't even stand without falling over. And this is the bitch ass nigga trying to take away my health care? Fuck no. Nigga, the hierarchy of life is survival of the fittest. The strongest niggas that know how to fight. Can't nobody tell you what the fuck to do if you know how to fight. So why the fuck are we letting the weakest links tell us what to do? Man, we some bitches, dog. Bro.
And a lot of what this Jake said, it is true. You know what I'm saying? But only thing he got wrong is, he never mentioned waiting on Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai. But nonetheless, the Esau Edom has reigned in terror over the earth. He's bombed many nations, oppressed and conquered many peoples. And the earth is getting sick and tired of his shit, man. And eventually, the Lord is going to raise up the spirit in Jake and eventually allow these heathen, from these other nations, BRICS, Russia, all these nations, man, are going to come up against Babylon the Great, which is the main stronghold of Esau Edom, and they're going to turn this place into smithereens, man. But before that happens, man, the 12 tribes are going to come together, against Esau Edom, man. So let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 49. I'll start at verse 1, and it says, And Jacob called and said unto his sons, and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. So this scripture is saying that in the last days, before the return of Yahweh Shai, that there will be a particular lot that will fall upon each of the 12 tribes from Judah all the way down to Issachar. And that was the lot that they're going to fulfill, man. In beginning with the tribe of Judah, who is the head tribe, this was the prophecy written. Going down to verse 8, it says, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. So this was ultimately the lot, that was given to Judah. Being the head tribe. And it said that what? His hand will be on the neck of his enemies. Meaning that when the time came, to arise against the enemy, to conquer them, that Judah would mainly be, the first ones to do it. And the other tribes follow suit, man. Though the other tribes, mainly really don't look at Judah as an equal, Judah's, presence, is undeniable. And when the Lord raises up that spirit in the head tribe of the nation of Israel, and the southern and northern kingdoms come together, that's when shit's gonna get real for Esau, Edom, and these other nations, man. And eventually, Yahweh Shai is gonna conquer Esau, Edom. Verse 9, it says, Judah is the lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rise him up? So this scripture is saying that at one point, the tribe of Judah was consisted of so-called Negroes, that they stooped down and couched as an old lion, meaning they got comfortable, being in a low position. They got comfortable, being subjugated under the enemy, being in a submissive state to Esau, Edom, being under his rule. But who's going to rouse them up? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. There's going to be race wars in these last days, man. Race wars, class wars, all kinds of wars, man. But the war between us and these Edomites has always raged on, man. And we're coming into the age where this man's kingdom is falling. Because how did Esau establish, his authority over Babylon the Great and many other places? Let's get Sirach chapter 10 and verse 8. And it says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches gotten by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people onto another. And that is how, Babylon the Great was translated into the hands of Esau. Through the wicked, unrighteous dealings, the riches gotten by deceit, and the rape, robbery, murder, genocide, and extortion, man. Mainly of the tribes. They did what you would call, they performed what you would call an ethnic cleansing on the northern kingdom. And then they brought the southern kingdom over here, man. And Jake always wondered, like, how are these weak, infertile, inferior Edomites have been able to get away with this for so long? And the reason is because the Lord gave them the dominion over the earth. Read Romans 9, the 9th chapter, in Job 9:24. But we're coming into the time period where, Israel is about to rise up against this devil, man. These devils don't have too much longer to reign in wickedness. And they know that, man. Let's get Micah chapter 5 and verse 7. And it says, and the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people. Right, we are a people that have been scattered to the four corners of the earth, amongst all nations. It says, and the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as a dew from the Lord, as the showers upon the grass that tarrieth not for man, nor waiteth for the sons of men. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles, talking about the natural Gentiles, the heathen nations, in the midst of many people, as a lion amongst the beasts of the forest, and as a young lion among the flocks of sheep, whom if he go through, both treadeth down, teareth in pieces, and none can deliver. So like it says in Sirach chapter 39 and 28, there have been spirits created for vengeance, man. And many of these Jakes, of the 2/3 of the undesirables, even the Lord is going to use some of them as spirits created for vengeance, to take out their vengeance on Esau, Edom, and the heathen, man. But this scripture right here, when it says the remnant of Jacob should be as a young lion going through the flocks. That's referring to when the Lord gives his men that spiritual power. But the scriptures are manifold, man. And we do know, pursuing the prophecy, that eventually, Jake, the nation of Israel, beginning with the tribe of Judah, is going to get roused up, man, and pursue after this devil. Let's get the book of let's see. I ended off with the book of Job, chapter 20 and verse 4. It says, knowest thou not this of old, since man, knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. So the wicked, they only have so long to rule before, their empire eventually falls and crumbles. And their joy only lasts but for a moment, man. These devils have been given power and dominion over the earth because us as a nation, we went against our power. Us Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians, went against Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, and got punished. But the Lord is so cold. He punished us, allowed our enemies to punish us. And now, by his same wrath, he's going to punish them for touching the apple of his eye, for touching the Lord's people. So this devil, his reign of terror over this earth is almost over. What World War III is imminent. Iran just declared full-on war against America and Israel. Where those Amalekites are at. The triumphing of the wicked is short, man. We're seeing this man's empire crumbling before our very eyes. It says, verse 6, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? And he shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night, man. And eventually we know through prophecy, pursuant to Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18, that eventually these devils, these Edomites, are going to go into captivity. And eventually, after serving 1,000 years of hardcore captivity, they're all going to be put into a bonfire and exterminated, man. So though it may seem like the wicked have so much power and prosperity in the earth, which they do, their time is coming to an end, man, before our very eyes. We're seeing this man losing, man. We're seeing the fall of our enemy. But with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praise to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone G. Messer Ruel. Shalom. See you in the next lesson.